In this video, I analyze a central passage from Epictetus Discourses.
Book 1, focusing on Stoic accounts of reason, freedom, and moral control. The interpretation and philosophical analysis presented here are my own, based on direct engagement with the primary text. Our tools were used only to assist in structuring and refining the written script and video format, not in generating interpretations or arguments. Epictetus begins Book I by questioning the limits of technical disciplines such as grammar and music. Grammar can instruct us how to write, and music can teach us how to compose or perform. Yet neither can tell us when it is appropriate to act. This is because, as Epictetus argues, these disciplines do not contemplate themselves. They operate within their own technical domains, but lack the capacity for self-reflection. By contrast, Epictetus claims that reason alone can take itself as its own object. Reason is able not only to think, but to examine whether it is right to think or act in a particular way, and whether the time, place, and manner of action are appropriate. Reason can describe appearances. Gold does not speak, yet reason speaks for it, calling it valuable, beautiful, or desirable. Epictetus poses the question: what else distinguishes music, grammar, the other faculties, proves their uses, and shows their proper occasions? Nothing but this. The claim is that only reason can evaluate the use, limits, and proper application of all other faculties. Therefore, reason must be placed above them. Human beings, Epictetus suggests, have been given control over reason alone, and nothing else. Because of the limitations of our bodies and minds, nature or the gods could not grant us power even over our own physical form.
Epictetus develops this argument through a theological voice, speaking as Zeus. Zeus tells Epictetus that he would have made the human body not liable to hindrance if it were possible. This refers to the fundamental limitations of embodied human life: vulnerability, constraint, and exposure to external forces. Yet Zeus immediately cautions, "Do not mistake, it is not thy own, but only a finer mixture of clay." The body is presented as well-designed but fundamentally material. The metaphor of clay emphasizes both craftsmanship and impermanence. The human body is shaped through nature as part of the divine order, but it does not belong to the individual in a moral sense. To say that the body is not thy own is to assert a Stoic position on ownership and selfhood. The body belongs to the divine order that formed it, not to the self as a locus of moral agency. This distinction prepares the ground for Epictetus' central claim: if the body is not truly ours, then freedom must be located elsewhere. Zeus continues, "Since, then, I could not give thee this, I have given thee a certain portion of myself, this faculty of exerting the powers of pursuit and avoidance, of desire and aversion, and, in a word, the use of the appearances of things." This portion refers to the faculty of moral agency, the capacity to pursue or avoid, to desire or reject, and to judge appearances. These powers together constitute what Epictetus elsewhere calls prohairesis, the faculty of choice. Zeus explains the consequence of recognizing this faculty as truly ours, taking care of this point, and making what is thy own to consist in this: thou wilt never be restrained, never hindered. Thou wilt not groan, wilt not complain, wilt not flatter anyone. Freedom, then, is not physical or political. It is moral and cognitive. Restraint, hindrance, and humiliation apply only to bodies and externals. They cannot touch judgment itself unless judgment surrenders its authority. Epictetus argues that human suffering arises not from events, but from misusing this divine faculty, treating appearances as if they dictated value rather than recognizing that value is assigned by reason. Epictetus identifies the core human error. But now, when it is in our power to take care of one thing, and to apply to one, we choose rather to take care of many, and by this multiplicity of encumbrances, we are burdened and weighed down. Although we are capable of governing one thing fully, our moral judgment, we disperse our concern across body, property, relationships, and outcomes. These are not condemned as evil, but as externals that exceed our control. The example of the sailor illustrates this mistake. Thus, when the weather doth not happen to be fair for sailing, we sit in distress and gaze out perpetually. When will the west blow? Distress arises because the sailor assumes authority over something he does not govern. Zeus has not made him dispenser of the winds, but Aeolus. The error is not the weather, but the expectation. Epictetus asks, what then is to be done? To make the best of what is in our power, and take the rest as it occurs. And how does it occur? As it pleases God. This introduces a Stoic theological framework. Events unfold according to divine order, not human preference. Acceptance is not passivity, but alignment. Freedom consists in fully exercising what lies within our power while relinquishing futile resistance to what does not. Epictetus pushes this reasoning to its limit through examples of exile and death. He asks, "What, then, must I be the only one to lose my head?" The question confronts our instinct to resist what cannot be controlled. Lateranus, struck poorly by the executioner, calmly presented his neck again. The example is not glorification of death, but demonstration of unbroken moral agency. Epictetus emphasizes integrity. "If I have a mind to say anything, I will tell it to your master." Speech, silence, courage, and composure remain within our power even under tyranny. He imagines threats, fetters, prison, execution, and replies, "You will fetter my leg, but not Zeus himself can get the better of my free will." This culminates in the image of the head not liable to be cut off. Moral freedom cannot be severed by physical death. Through Thrasea and Agrippinus, Epictetus rejects comparisons between misfortunes. To rank exile and death as better or worse misses the point. Contentment lies not in outcomes but in judgment. He concludes, "To have placed our desires and aversions above tyranny and above chance, as becomes one who restores what is not his own. The body is returned to the order that lent it. Moral integrity remains intact." This passage from Epictetus Discourses presents a unified Stoic account of human freedom grounded in reason rather than circumstance. Epictetus distinguishes between technical skills, which operate without self-reflection, and reason, which alone can examine itself, evaluate its proper use, and determine when action is appropriate. Because reason can judge appearances, assign value, and regulate desire and aversion, it is identified as the sole faculty truly within human control. The body, described as a finer mixture of clay, is well-formed but fundamentally not our own. It belongs to the divine order that produced it and remains subject to hindrance, chance, and external force. In place of bodily invulnerability, human beings are given a portion of the divine, the faculty of moral agency. Freedom, for Epictetus, consists in safeguarding this faculty and refusing to locate the self in what can be taken, constrained, or destroyed. Psychological distress arises when concern is extended beyond this single domain. By attempting to govern externals, outcomes, possessions, reputation, even life itself, we multiply vulnerability and frustration. Epictetus' response is not withdrawal from life, but disciplined alignment, to make full use of what lies within our power and to accept the rest as it occurs, as it pleases God. Through examples of exile, coercion, and death, Epictetus demonstrates that integrity of will cannot be violated by force. Even under tyranny, the individual retains authority over judgment, speech, and assent. This is why death is not the ultimate loss. Moral agency remains intact until the end. Epictetus does not promise comfort, safety, or control over events. What he offers instead is something more demanding and more durable: clarity about what is truly ours, and discipline in refusing to surrender it. To study philosophy, in his sense, is not to accumulate arguments, but to train the mind to remain free under pressure. This is why he insists that these things are what philosophers ought to write about daily, and exercise themselves in continually. If this analysis has been useful, it is because Epictetus remains useful, not as a source of reassurance, but as a guide to responsibility. What we do with that responsibility is, as he would say, finally up to us. This passage presents a coherent Stoic account of freedom. The self is not the body, but the faculty that judges. What is ours is reasoned choice. What is not ours must be accepted as it occurs. Epictetus offers neither comfort nor resignation, but disciplined clarity. All interpretation and philosophical analysis in this video are my own, based on direct reading of Epictetus. AI tools were used solely for structuring, editing, and video production. This has been an analysis of Epictetus Discourses. If you want to follow further close readings like this, subscribe and continue the study.